G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff. You've probably heard me say DARVO or DAVRO often. That is the tool of toxic femininity. Of course, toxic femininity takes place not just in relationships, takes place across social media and also beyond relationships in the workplace. Now, most men understand this, but I think a lot are still questioning. Why are men always the problem? She's unhappy, it's your fault. She yells at you, she claims you're not listening, she claims you're doing everything or something wrong, you're not helpful. Now, most men hear this in marriage, but increasingly, women are bringing this toxic behavior into the workplace because women have a narcissistic desire. And once you understand this narcissistic desire, you'll understand their manipulation tactics. Now, what is this narcissistic desire? Well, on display is that narcissistic desire. You may think it's attention, but it's actually attention is the tool, right? She's not trying to attract a mate. She is trying to attract a provider. Once you understand that a woman is trying to attract a provider, and that you look throughout history, what did Vikings do? They raided and they pillaged, but then what? They took out their anger and frustrations on the outsiders, but then they would return home to meekly provide their wives with everything they desired. Vikings meant sea king. That's it. They were traders, but things got harsh. Things took turns for the worst. Younger, more beautiful women were turning to these strong, virile men and getting them to provide for them in ever-increasing amounts. And eventually, things would turn for the worst. And for hundreds of years, societies around the vicinity started to suffer. And eventually, the cold, cruel world. But in this cold, cruel world, the coldest and cruelest of them all was their wives. The Vikings came from a society of fighting off wolves, struggling for resources. So turning from traders to pillagers was a very swift and shocking transformation. But eventually, the Norse did, having a sense of honour as well as begin increasingly Christian values, although it took centuries. They weren't majority Christian. Put down raiding. Not violently, they just outlawed it. And then, any raider who tried to return to port, then they would be violent. But no, they said, you go, you don't come back. And if you tried, actually, a lot of people now believe, the Viking funeral might have been a send-off for people who, were, sent on their way, so to speak. But once you understand that she is not interested in a partner, a husband, a leader. She is only interested in a provider, right? You'll understand toxic femininity, right? The workplace gives you limited options, right? But understanding what they're doing and how to combat it will be enormous value. But remember, they will eventually gang up on you. It's an unfortunate reality, and the media is increasingly putting out cope stories about how men are always on the move in the workplace, but they'll never explain why. But it doesn't matter how much they show or don't show, they are always right. So, are you tired of being the villain? Are you tired of being blamed for every problem? Are you suffering a mental or physical, well, actually, emotional abuse? Right? It always is. Women cannot accept the blame, they can't accept the guilt, and it's time to wake up. Okay? It is time to wake up. That women will never change. They have always been this way. It's just that the numbers are increasing because the government has monetized and weaponized relationships in order to loot you, to pour money into their ever-increasing pockets, right? The vaults of expenditure, the thrill of handling ludicrous sums of money. It's out of control. Toxic behavior that women keep complaining about is actually the very people they cannot do anything to. So they take it out on you. Now, the acronym and theory behind DAVRO is accredited to Jennifer Freud, but it's actually much older works. She only put out a work on that took the work of prior psychologists on denial and gaslighting, and once you see, you'll actually see that she's probably talking about herself. Okay? Now, DAVRO stands for Deny, Attack, Reverse Victim, and Offender. And once you see it, right, you can't unsee it. See, women, the prettier they are, right, doesn't matter, get praise. If they get to the point where praise is addictive, and this is so often with their mothers, their friends, you slay, queen, you're the best. Oh, it's not you, it's him. You're perfect. They're always trying to lift each other's feelings. So this lack of honesty creates a situation where they deny responsibility. So if it is not their fault, if they never caused the problem, right? If they fail to realize that their unhappiness is their responsibility, not others. So what happens is that they will deny responsibility. So they look for someone to attack, right? Now, when confronted with evidence, right, if they cannot deny, they will attack you as misogynist, as even racist, the good old term of sexist, oh, you don't listen to me, you're always blaming me, right? They are always taking out their own anger and frustrations on you. Remember that when it comes to a provider, right, they are not just looking for someone who is psychologically stable and of financial means. They're looking for someone to put up with their toxic behavior. So this is why they are always testing you. It's actually not a test. It's actually to offload their frustrations. And because of this video going to YouTube, I cannot tell you everything. You have to figure it out. That's the problem, right? It'll take hours going through every toxic behavior and manipulation. But all you have to know is, right, and to figure it out for yourself is, are they denying something, right? Denial includes failure to take responsibility for their own work, right? Women are always looking to offload their work onto others. So, right, and if you don't help them, they attack you, right? If you don't praise them, they attack you, right? If you are not cooperative enough with them, even though they're supposed to be doing their own work, again, they attack you. If you're not playing the hero, they attack you. No past good deeds are worth anything, because it is always about you providing to them everything they want. See, when they no longer focus on a man in their life as the provider, they turn to the broader audience, the broader workplace, the broader society. The checkout chick who is disconnected and just plodding along will find a way to make her day sunshine by being as rude to you as she can be. And yet people wonder why so many people use the automated checkouts, because they rather deal with the checkouts than the ever detached from reality checkout chick. Oh, God. So, reverse victim, what happens? You go to HR, you outline her toxic behaviour. What happens? He was mean to me. And there's the waterworks, which they could turn off and on at will. Right? And finally, if denial doesn't work, if attacks do not make you submit to her, if her reverse victimhood does her crying, right? Reverse victimhood, typically crying, doesn't get you on your knees, she will become the offender. She will physically or psychologically attack you. She'll undermine you by spreading rumours, by coming in early to sabotage your work, to take her workload out of her in tray and put it into yours and claim that. And again, the cycle continues, right? It's always about 1, 2, 3, denying the harm, denying that she's responsible for everything. She's trying to offload everything onto you, right? And of course, the most common term you hear is gaslighting. But the reality is that she is trying to offload everything onto you. Again, there are many tools of toxic female or toxic femininity. Now, some of it is misogyny. Okay, you may not believe this, but women hate each other more than they hate their boyfriend. And they hate him, right? Women find someone, right, who to put up with their garbage. That is what they mean by love, okay? Oh, I love you. Yeah, because you put up with his... No, they love you because you put up with their garbage and you reward their behaviour. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for rewards for their behaviour. So they hate other women. They'll use guilt, they'll use tears, or what you would say, pity play, to manipulate others to do what they want, right? Because they deny or avoid accountability. Now, why do they do this? Because most women have queen bee syndrome. Okay, queen bee syndrome used to be a rare phenomenon, right? But feminism has taught women to be the queen bee and to give them power in the workplace setting through collective action, to act superior, to purposely undermine others, to physically and emotionally sabotage or socially sabotage through rumors and often this is why they sleep with the boss. It is actually to sabotage, to manipulate, to be passive aggressive in their pursuit of so like if they cannot emotionally manipulate you, right, they will get someone else, and by playing damsel in distress, or turn to passive aggressive techniques like constant nagging, right? Women are often critical of others, and then at the same time will be immediately emotionally damaged by any criticism or any judgment. You know, as soon as you hear the words, "You can't judge me," well, you know you've hit the nerve. You are right. Often, this moment the monkey screams, you know you're right. Right? One thing that women definitely mean about is appearance, right? Even recently, people who are plus size have started attacking each other on the internet because they can get away with it using the installed psychology of so the offender behavior, but protected classes. Women created this Marxism created this protective class, because don't forget, Marxism was run by a woman, and in many cases still is run by women, okay? Feminism is Marxism. Marxism is now feminism. There is no difference anymore. Okay, so silent judging, you know, the glare, whenever women are glaring at each other, that's known as the silent judgment. That is another one. They put their hand on your knee. They're not asking for sex. They're begging you to do something, but they're not begging openly, right? The silent treatment. They want you to figure out what they want and give it to them on the hope that then the hand is going to slide further up your leg. Spoiler alert, it's not gonna happen. Now, a lot of this is internalized misogyny. Women not only hate women who particularly destroy their own beauty, they hate themselves, they hate others. Now, this could be often the result of abuse, but increasingly, that abuse is external. That abuse actually comes from feminism. The abuse comes from being unable to handle the workplace, the workload, right? Women know they're unproductive. Women know they're not meant to carry large loads for a long time, that they're built for picking up the baby, carrying it around, doing the gardening, not working the fields, because there's a huge difference. If you look at Japan, if you look at most medieval societies that had large female populations with small numbers of men, right, and that's what happened in medieval Japan, right, you will see the women rice workers worked in large groups and would work not just the fields, but they would take turns working the road to get men to give them money to buy their rice at expensive, or increasingly it would be Oh no! You get a bit of nookie in the you get a bit of nookie and you get two wives, and the merchant would support them and bring in because men, right, to avoid government service, in whatever wars, would run to the mountains, hide out. So to get men back into the fields, women would let men plough them, and it did eventually created a population explosion. But for a long time, it was almost a balance where, and you've seen this also in medieval China, where you had a period known as the Blue Period, I think, where women pretty much ran the show, and the number of sex workers was almost half the female population. It was a huge, ended in a huge collapse of civilization, of course, as the birth rates, and it's again happening, right? You look at the number of sex workers, and as it goes up, you see the decline in the population, the quality, the desire of men goes down. Men can be satisfied, and this is the problem. Women can't. Right? You hear constantly now, women over 40 do not watch their videos on TikTok. They again engage in increasingly toxic behavior. But toxic behavior, right, is not assertive. Okay, women are told to be assertive, so they become increasingly toxic, right, as a defense mechanism, or so they're told, right? But really, it's a manipulation tool to get you to do their work, right? They do not want equal share. They don't want equal share. They always want more. Right? They don't care whose mental health they ruin. They don't care about other people's autonomy. Right? Every time you hear a woman talk about autonomy, she is definitely about to launch into a series of manipulations. And of course, Davro is not just the response, it is the manipulation, right? Denial is not just, I deny I'm a cheat. I deny that I'm a garden tool. I deny that, denial is to also exclude, to deny something, right? Deny responsibility, deny your workload. Oh, I've got this job, but I have to answer phones all day. No, I'm going to take a quick break. You do it. Oh, Marjorie, you do it for me, or hey, you got nothing to do. Come and fill in for me while I nick off out the back for a smoke. These are all patterns, right? Denial is such a large pattern of behavior, right? To deny responsibility goes beyond you're to blame, right? Responsibilities include their work, right? Child raising, even there was a time in history where noble women would consider maintain their purity, and make sure though that the little village would turn a blind eye as long as he didn't impregnate the little village tart or get too attached to it. Right? The pattern of infidelity in men is actually believed to be a historical memory at a time where, as women got older, to keep the man around, she would introduce him to her friends, not as a means of getting rid of him, but a means of keeping him. Because if you look at royal circles, if you look at historical paintings, you often see that there are periods where women are in larger numbers than men, right? Post-wars, women are in larger numbers than men. You see this right now, how women chase few men. And you see TikTok sometimes where you get, right, women who are married who do the cheating. They'll justify it. They'll deny the truth, right? That's what I like, right? Denial, right? The source of lies is denial, right? So, increasingly, women are calling out each other's bad behavior because women are now realizing that this is what's happening is when they find a good man, they lose him because they can't compete against the outgoing, ever horny, right? Men have a biological reaction, but increasingly, men are realizing, wait a minute, if you are friends with a man, if you are letting him get close to you, he's not the problem, it's you. Women are the problem. More and more women are waking up and realizing that other women are the problem. More and more men are, let's face it, men are slow on the uptake on social trends and don't realize, a lot of people don't realize that, when we're talking about toxic femininity, we mean it's more likely to be in the workplace than in the bedroom. Increased incivility from women in general public. And so there are so many jobs where you cannot avoid women. Used to be men become a truck driver to avoid women. No, join the army to avoid women. No, you can't even avoid women as a monk. Right? Monks, I don't know what's happened with the Catholic Church, I tell you, or any religion, where they take monks and have them tend to tend the fields and to do all the repairs to the nunnery. I mean, maybe that's always been, and I wasn't familiar, but I was recently reading in my research that there is almost no place to escape women. Increasingly amount of property managers are women. Increasingly number of all soft jobs are going to women. They are soft jobs. They take the soft jobs. Now, society has always been organised that women take the soft jobs because those are easy and less productive. But women increasingly want the same pay for the same thing. And increasingly, it is turning into toxic behaviour. So, laugh, cry, every emotion, it's like crafted from experience. And this is why rich men chase younger women, because they are inexperienced. They are less likely to be experienced manipulators. That's why feminism turns around and recruits in schools. Because increasingly narcissism has been discovered to be a taught trait, not a psychological disorder. It is a taught behavior. Thank you for watching, listening. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. Please support the channel. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. See you in the next video, and bye for now.